Hey guys, hi, welcome back once again. My name is Vaishali, and today I'd like to talk about courage. And before we venture into the ideas and aspects of courage, it's quite essential also to understand that courage is very closely associated with vulnerability, with openness, with honesty, with fear, and with risks. So, having talked to a lot of people and having had a chance to even delve into my own fears, I was able to gather a list of a few of them. And a few of those fears are fear of insects, fear of animals, fear of being bitten by animals, fear of drowning, fear of heights, fear of being locked down, fear of closed spaces, fear of being in a crowd, fear of meeting with an accident, fear of losing one's memory, fear of losing one's dependency on others, fear of losing one's own sense of independence, fear of rejection, fear of abandonment, fear of isolation, fear of loneliness, fear of being alone, stage fear, fear of speaking in public, fear of giving one's opinion, fear of speaking one's heart out. Performance fears right from bedroom to boardrooms. Fear of being honest, fear of being dishonest. Fear of falling down both literally and metaphorically, essentially implying fear of being ridiculed, fear of embarrassment, fear of being shamed, fear of being disgraced, fear of losing one's face or the image of the face that one has crafted for themselves. And if you look at the list of most of these fears, in today's world, they are more psychological than real. And when I say in today's world or in today's time, what essentially I'm trying to say is that at one point in time, when we were evolving from the wilderness, most of these psychological fears were equally real. For in the wild, being abandoned, being neglected, being left aside, being embarrassed, being ridiculed, being disgraced, being shamed, which invariably meant that one had to be outcasted, would have eventually meant that person's death. For in the wild, from where our nervous system was evolving, it was essential for us to be a part of a tribe, to always feel belonged within a tribe as a social species. And had any of those things taken place, it would have been fatal for us. Unfortunately and unfortunately, that primitive part of our brain, that evolutionary nervous system still remains intact within our biology, within our body. And invariably, since it is so hardwired in us from millions of years, and since it has helped us evolve up till this point in time, through basic survival needs, through meeting our basic survival needs, it is also the first thing that gets triggered. It is also the first part that gets activated. For it's only doing what it's best designed to do. And since those driving mechanisms are still bodily intact, it reminds me of two quotes, one by Robin Williams and the other by Jiddu Krishnamurti, where Robin Williams had said, "The things we fear most have already happened to us. The things we fear most have already happened. They are already imprinted in our memories." And the other by Jiddu Krishnamurti, wherein he had said that man is more afraid of the known coming to an end rather than the unknown itself. And in some ways, both of these quotes tell us that we are in resistance to facing what we have already faced at one point in time, which invariably means that we keep repeating ourselves over and over and over again within the same loops time and time and time again. We keep playing and repeating the same familiar dance time and time again. And quite unfortunately, whatever we resist persists. It stays till the time we are ready to face our own resistance. And in order to break past that resistance, we have to acknowledge the risk of facing our own fears. We have to face the risk of changing the dynamic within ourselves to face our own fears. We probably even have to risk our own identity with the idea of the identity that we have established within ourselves, both on personal and interpersonal levels. And since courage originates from the word cur, meaning of the heart, to speak one's mind, revealing one's heart, it requires us to be open, to be honest, to be vulnerable, and which I personally believe is the easiest and yet the toughest thing to do. And there are a few people whom I think of when I think of all of these aspects, when I think of all of these quality traits. Andre Agassi, Martha Beck, Glennon Doyle, Dr. Gabor Mate, and a few others. These few very famous world renowned people have willingly, openly, and honestly acknowledged and embraced their fears. And when they embraced their fears, when they were willing to talk about it, they were also willing to walk with those fears. And as Susan David would put it, courage is not about not being fearful. It's not about not having fears, but courage is fear walking. And these people, in my opinion, have had the courage to walk their talk. So, what fears are you embodying? What fears are you not stepping into? What are your fears that are holding you back from stepping into your courage? From being open, honest, and being vulnerable? From speaking your mind and owning your heart and telling all about your heart? Let's take the time to reflect on our fears to see where it's stopping us from being courageous, from being honest, from being vulnerable, from being open. Let's take the time to reflect on our fears to be able to see if it is really protecting us, if it is really safeguarding us, or it's sabotaging us both on personal and interpersonal levels. Let's try and do that for ourselves, and I will see you once again the next week. Till then, stay tuned in. And guys, if you do like the contextual content of these videos, please do like, share, and subscribe.